Han Meditations.
Mummies, blunts, and coke.
No, because they sound cocaine in the Mummies. No,
that's crazy.
That's the title right
the funny thing is, when they dug out the pharaohs, they found cocaine in their tombs. They found cocaine.
Are you serious? Come on, man.
No, which proves that they were trading with the Americans.
They found
cocaine in the tombs. Yes.
And blood.
That was the first time I ever had a regression, and that opened my mind completely because I got murdered.
Oh.
Geez.
I was seeing a being. I couldn't tell even the gender.
Yeah.
I was trying to describe what it had on. It was something that looked like scales.
After the bird flew over, they saw a UFO, a sphere, and it was very shiny, very metallic. Exactly how they described. This is 24 years before Roswell.
So what
this
time?
is before
what
UFOs.
What decade was this?
This is in the 1900s, early.
Okay.
So this is 24 years before Roswell even happened, before people even knew about UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
He described a UFO. After that, they disappeared for like 6 months. All right, guys, we're back at the Han podcast.
Woo!
We have Kelly, of course, and we have 5D Fine Arts. You guys know him from The Man Who Loved Bigfoot, The Man Who Slept with Bigfoot. Of course,
not
it's
me
not
exactly.
him, it's not him, but he has all the information, all the
Yes.
knowledge on that topic. So we got him in to talk about that. So
Welcome,
he's
y'all.
back, and we're excited to have him, man. So what have you been doing since the last podcast? That was filmed a while ago. What have you been up to?
Oh, okay. All right. I'm back with my soul family. Glad to have you.
Of course.
And with you guys together
Back
again.
at it again.
I will. Basically, I was traveling. I've been doing a bit of traveling.
Yeah.
And been from Florida to, went to Texas, then Colorado for a little bit. And then
You're
South
in Colorado?
America. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What were you doing in Colorado?
I had to go there because I couldn't get a direct flight. So had this long layover. I wish I could have had more time to explore Colorado, but I was there for maybe like 10 hours. I got to see parts of like Colorado City, but not the real Colorado where I can go to the Garden of the Gods.
Yeah. That's one of our favorite spots. We're in Garden of the Gods. We're in the Cave of the Winds. We're on a train ride looking at, ancient plates, and
you saw the indigenous art of the ruins from the indigenous where they used to live, right?
Manitou.
Man,
I mean, it was a crazy trip. We had a great time.
Oh yeah.
And I heard you just went to Colombia too.
Yes, and I was down in South America, Colombia, which is I got some cool little
the native gear there.
But also
Nice.
That reminds me where I got this for Hank and Kelly for the Han Meditations podcast platform. I got this nice little
nice crystal
for them. But that was a nice little, cool little trip. So I got back from there. It was fun. I love it there. I actually went and got my teeth done.
Awesome.
I got my I got, what is it called? A root canal.
Oh, that's great.
It's less expensive there. So I went down there. So word of advice, I mean, people go there and pay like less than $100 to get like wisdom teeth pulled and
that's awesome
and all that.
Dang.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I might need to go there because I'm getting like the Invisalign. It's like $6,000. I might need to go to Colombia.
It wouldn't even be $600. It would.
That's
be
crazy.
Like $100.
I wonder if they got that there. I'll check
They
it
have
out.
all that. Oh my god.
But
they have all that.
But yeah, we're excited to have you back, man. Have you been feeling anything spiritually since then? Have you been?
Yeah.
You're always on your spiritual journey.
Okay.
Have you seen any interesting information?
What's open
New
up?
knowledge.
I'm sure you saw the "They're 100% not human" to Las Vegas call, right?
Wait, say that again.
Did you see that the call in Las Vegas where he saw an alien?
Talking about
yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
911 call.
Because you messaged me that like the day that it happened, and that happened that was in Nevada, right?
Yep, yeah, that was in Nevada.
Nevada.
Yep.
So I saw that, and then
do you think that was real, or do you think that was
that's
maybe
interesting to talk about? I mean, that. Oh my God, because there's so much now that they're coming up with the government, and mainstream news is now saying, okay, we're going to show you guys the evidence, and I'm thinking maybe they're trying to slowly introduce it to.
Yeah, that's how I think too.
They're trying to ease it up and get it to where we can kind of get used to it and kind of really groom us for it towards finally, bam, like here they are, like they've been working next door to us like this whole time in DC or whatever. So I think it was, the funny thing is when I saw that real video, I couldn't tell what the alien was.
Yeah,
People
me
were saying
either.
it's here, it's here.
Everyone kept saying that
I'm like,
too.
what do you
They're like
mean?
outlining it. I'm like, I don't see an alien.
It was supposed to be there
I
behind.
I take your
couldn't
word
tell.
for it, but I don't. I
Yeah.
couldn't see one.
What
I
about
couldn't
you,
make
Kelly?
out
Did you,
anything.
nobody. So you.
I try to look pretty good at it, even like the zoomed up stuff, but I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, like out of all the videos where I seen evidence, I'm like, okay, like it was supposed to be behind some forklift. Then people were pointing to the forklift, and
That's what I was like.
I
I'm like,
didn't
is he
see
in the
anything
machine?
in there.
Is he on
Yeah.
the side of it? I don't know, but
I mean,
you saw like the actual UFO though, right?
I think I saw the UFO in the sky. Yeah, I saw that
the UFO
video.
in the
Right,
sky.
right.
But this actual alien, I'm like, are people? I'm usually good at looking at evidence, but maybe I got to see it again. But I have to. I gotta check that out. Oh, what's
And
that?
then-
The Hodgins twins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had like the indent in the
Conservative twins, that's
sand
what
of
they're
their
called now.
backyard for the UFO like disc, you know.
Mhm.
But there wasn't any footage of the disc. You would think they would at least get some footage of that, you know, if there was literally a spaceship in your backyard.
So that was an interesting thing that they chose to put on the news, because everything they put on the news, they're going to pick, carefully to show. So
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a weird thing.
And-
Go ahead, Kelly.
I was just gonna say real quick, I've seen some clips from the boy that made the call. I guess his name was Angel.
I thought they
And
blurred his
he's-
face out, right? He didn't want.
What'd you say?
Didn't they blur the
Blurred
kid's
his
face out or something?
This is it right
I don't know,
here.
but he's made
This
some
is
of
it
his
right
own
here.
like personal TikTok
You see it?
videos.
He made TikTok. Continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, he
Kelly.
was saying, just nothing the news says is real, blah blah. And I guess he was saying he was starting to have like a
Oh.
heart. He was about to get offline because
Okay.
there was like a lot going on or something.
He's almost basically like a
getting some
whistleblower.
anxiety or whatever.
He's a whistleblower
Oh
now.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I should have brought my other phone so we could have watched.
He's had
but-
basically first contact, technically, right? That's first contact.
That's really strange, actually. That's
Yeah.
really weird.
And he was doing like Q&As on Instagram or TikTok or something.
Yeah, but it's strange that you mentioned DC because well, it's interesting because Kelly and I we just finished reading the Dolores Cannon book,
Mhm.
Keepers of the Garden. So
That
That's
one's
good
good.
material right there.
So
Oh,
in that book, there's a guy named Phil, and basically she just meets him by chance. She does a past life regression from him. Everything is normal. Next thing you know, he starts seeing alien planets. He's scared of it, but it keeps coming back. She doesn't force him to see it, but it just keeps coming
And
back.
a regression.
Yep. And then eventually he decides to face it. So he decides to face the planet. He realizes that he's an extraterrestrial on the planet and that he's mining for some kind of material on a desolate planet. Something happened where there's some kind of energy malfunction on his planet whenever they left, and they went too far out and they got stranded. 3 of them died. And I think he ended up dying on the planet. But he lived many lives
That's
on
particular detail right there.
Yeah,
that
but
you
he
can
lived
recall.
many lives on that particular
Oh my God.
civilization.
Yeah.
And they weren't indigenous to the planet that they lived on,
Yeah.
but there was an indigenous species that was basically like a less refined species, kind of like humans, maybe like caveman type humans, or
So they were like
dwarfs type.
explorer. They were maybe like the explorers. To
Yeah,
that
but
planet.
they've been on there for so long, but
Yeah.
they know that they're not technically from there.
Right.
And on that planet, it's half of the planet is all day, the other half is all night.
Ooh.
So they don't have a day and night cycle.
That's trippy
You'd have to
right
go to
there.
the other side of the planet.
That's
And,
trippy. Okay.
And they could see in the dark really well. Their heads were larger. They wore clothes that were just one suit. There was no violence on their planet. Everything was very rare.
Yeah.
But she just kept doing past life regressions with him. And it got to a point where she realized that he had never had lives as a human. But she was seeing lives as him as a human during the first regressions.
Ooh.
But she realized that those were just imprints from the Akashic records that he was just imprinted on him.
Yep.
So because if you're an extraterrestrial coming into human reincarnation
For the first
time, you have to have some kind of anchor to humanity to function in society, because you're not going to be used to the negativity, the violence, how humans act. And these species, he was saying, like, they wouldn't even, like, humans couldn't even comprehend it, because we have things like blinkers on our cars because we have to tell people where we're going to go. They already knew this kind of stuff.
It was all
because
telepathic.
Yeah, because they're
basically.
telepathic.
We don't even need to know
So-
where lane you're changing in. We already tell them.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Cut me off. I
Exactly.
mean, I know why you cut me off. So go
Yep.
ahead. But
And
that's
there's no
interesting
money
right there.
too. There's no money. So basically, people just did what they love to do. If you needed food, you just go to farm.
But there's a lot of people who are in touch with that, and people who are channeling higher dimensions. They're saying there's like we're one of the only like planets who are still kind of on that money currency physical system where it's like I remember Bashar Daryl Anka he mentioned it was like one of my favorite channelers. He kept saying
we love Bashar, man. I told when you showed me him,
that's one of the most
best.
Real deal, like basically legitimate channels that I believe is out there. He was just like, man, you know, the Earth is one of the only planets who are using that physical currency because anybody, anywhere else you go on that in that multiverse is going to be able to do what they love, and that ultimately sustains the society because that's true. I mean, we could have that here, but it's not like that here. We could just have it where.
And they even said it'd be easy to implement.
Yeah, it would be easy to implement.
It wouldn't be that hard to implement on your planet, but people are just so greedy, essentially.
Exactly.
But so it was crazy because he kept bringing up these extraterrestrial lives that he lived, and then eventually he could go to, I guess, Akashic Records or something, or what is it called?
The Akashic Records are like, basically like the internet, the
Akashic
spiritual
Records.
internet we just pull everything down from. Like,
So, and because Kelly had mentioned him to me at first, where she's talking about Nostradamus, where he was able to kind of fill in the blanks of Nostradamus because he could go to the Akashic Records and all that. But he would go to this place of 3 spires and energy, and he would talk about it. So eventually, you know, the book was just so crazy. But why I even brought it up because we were talking about DC very briefly, and she said that the monument, he said in the monument in DC is used as a device so that the extraterrestrials can kind of monitor Earth and tell what's going on.
The Washington Monument?
Yeah, the obelisk.
The obelisk.
Yeah, the obelisk,
the obelisk shape.
But dig this, you know, a lot of cultures had the obelisk as a structure, like in their society, like the people who had built Stonehenge, I believe. But I mean, I know for sure the Egyptians, some of the cultures in Sudan, the cultures of Kush, they all were building obelisks, and there's something with that structure that goes way, way back.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a conspiracy theory, but I actually just heard recently, I saw something, and they were saying that the Great Pyramid of Giza, if you notice, it's not an actual pointed at the top.
Yeah.
And it's missing its triangle. And then the dollar bill or whatever is if you look at the dollar bill or one of our, you know, currency bills, it has that triangle, you know, on top of the pyramid as the image on the bill.
That missing top.
That's the missing top.
Yeah, I guess the top piece was all gold.
It was supposed to be gold.
That's what I heard too.
But I'm pretty sure that since they looted all the tombs, I'm pretty sure somebody was like, hey, I'm going to grab that whole piece of solid gold at the top.
Probably.
Somehow they took it down, right?
Yeah, but that whole thing is
supposed to be a generator.
For power. But I found that so interesting because they were saying that even whenever they were building it, they didn't know that it was going to be used for that. But essentially, like it's the stone that they use, everything that they use, and how it's shaped, and where it is, and because it's in the United States, you know, he was saying, well, your country knows about the news of all other countries, right?
Right.
Like your country knows about everything else,
right.
So that's why it was built in your country, because the United States is connected to every other country. We know about everything else that's going on in the world, and
through our technologies,
exactly.
Like
they said it's like a beacon,
exactly.
So whenever Kennedy got assassinated, they said like all the extraterrestrials, they knew about it. And they could feel like the vibrations of the earth, and they were like saddened for our planet.
That's crazy.
And this planet on this earth, right?
Yep. And it just came through like a channel.
A channeled idea.
Where the builder didn't even realize that's why he was doing it.
That's what they're understanding now, that people who are trying to understand why they built the pyramids and how they're realizing, hey, there's underwater aquifers, there's like river systems underneath the pyramid. And then the water helps to generate the energy. Like water's conductive for electricity. So that's all that. They have that running underneath through the pyramids. Then the top was gold. Gold is a conductive, electrical conductive material. And then it's like, boom, it's pointing up somewhere, right?
Yeah.
What's the constellation?
Which one? Sirius?
No. I think it's pointing up to the stars close to the Orion or something.
Okay.
But like, anyway, they know that it's supposed to be generating something. It's supposed to be, it's like, whether it's a beacon, that thing is it's an electrical, it's like it's alive, like it's generating some type of energy for a purpose.
It definitely
right?
is generating energy.
I mean, for that long pool of water to be perfectly aligned with it. And even if you look how it reflects, it's like the as above, so below.
For the obelisk.
Getting in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it is crazy.
I mean, look at it. It's elongated too.
Yeah. Such
it's
a
like
long,
perfect.
long.
Follow me with this, right? You know what that stands for, right? That's a phallus. That's a phallic symbol.
Yeah.
No, like swear, like look it up. Look at the obelisk and the meaning. It's like, it goes back to being a phallic symbol, like meaning like
it's like a penis.
Yeah.
Penile.
I didn't know how to say
penile,
it.
Yeah.
Trying to stay in context, but also kind of keep it like
energy,
grounded. What another word's a penis, yes. But that's the phallic symbol for whatever purpose. I forget the main purpose, but it's phallic. And so
I mean, it's definitely erect. It's large.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't get around that. Look how it looks.
Right out.
Yeah, basically. And now what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was thinking about what you were saying with Dolores Cannon and all that stuff with the regressions. You want to talk about how we had the regressionists come through here?
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say that because you have had you have gone under the QHHT and seen your past lives.
You want to talk about any of that?
That was interesting.
I mean, this guy, he's done the QHHT.
Yes.
And Kelly's actually going to get her QHHT, guys. Yes. So if you want to, if any of the fans, you want to come and get your session done by Kelly and I, we'll be doing it together. Where I might lead in a guided meditation and just positive energy. And Kelly's a Reiki master healer, so she can heal.
So that can get incorporated. And really, now's your chance, because when you do your training, after that you're an apprentice. For your first 25 sessions have to be free, and then after that you can start charging. So you really are going to want to email us, hanmeditations@gmail.com, if you want to get a session in for free.
Yeah. And I have been under from Kelly before. She does a great, fantastic job. It took me someplace, and I felt the
yeah.
At one point,
Kelly gets messages already, so I can only imagine
how
people are going to open up to her.
Yes,
whenever they're in that state, and it's just going to be crazy. So talk about what happened with you. Did you see any lives when you passed?
So then I went under. We had the regressionists come through the facility. Then that was a powerful thing for me, as you know. It involved one time. Initially when I came out of it, I came out and cried. How powerful the experience was, but I saw past lives. She took me under, and I saw we went through 3 different lives. She said, I'm not going to show one, but I'm going to have to show 3.
So, do you want to explain one?
Yeah.
You don't have to.
I can explain it. No,
and I would also like to hear. I know there's a few different methods to get you to the past lives. Like, did you go down the elevator or?
Oh, okay. I can briefly explain this. I know it could be long-winded sometimes, but
this is a podcast, baby. This is what this is for, man.
Get it.
That's why we're having you on. Yeah, this is people love you on there.
Oh yeah, I'm back.
We love to have you. So just go ahead and explain. The first life, maybe.
Thank you, audience. Now here we go. So basically, I came under it with, it was me coming down, floating down what I believe from a cloud. I was in the sky, and it wasn't the elevator. It was like you're floating down from a cloud, and then once you land on the ground, that's the place where you start the regression. From what I remember, a lot of it it was recorded, and a lot of it I had to listen to recording myself because, I mean, for one, when I came into the regression, I just said, I don't know. I never done this before in my life. I don't even know if it's gonna work on me. I said, I'm not like a highly suggestive person.
That's how I would feel too. Yeah, like, I know it can work, but I'm like,
I was serious, and I'm always like open-minded, but I just said, look, let's just see how it goes, because maybe it may not work. But it worked, and I went under, and for a while I had to go back to recall what I heard on recording. From what I remember, my first life, it took me back to, I was maybe like some general captain, a naval captain. And it was another time. It was just a weird experience because I had to describe where I was. I kept remembering that. After a while, it came so natural. Period? And it was dreamlike. It seemed like it was, around the time when they had the Revolutionary War almost breaching into 19th century, like early 1800s. It seemed like
in the U.S.
It seemed like another country. No, it seemed like it was like somewhere European. Because it seemed like the like the time period when Napoleon was around. I saw the people wearing like the the big coats like with the shoulder pads type of thing.
Maybe you're the French Revolution.
French or Spain. I just remember that. a lot of the guys didn't look like, they were like olive tone and white. So I'm like, probably it's Europe. So
yeah.
And then I remember seeing their ship and they were celebrating something. I remember seeing people putting their cups in the air. It was very vivid and dreamlike. So, and then at first I was almost fighting, and then it just kept coming. I had to keep coming down and say, okay, relax. I was almost fighting at first, but then I had to loosen up. And she said, look, speak it. Don't hesitate. Don't stutter. And I came under even more. But then so that was my first life. I remember that. There was like a naval captain life. I remember up to the point, even when he had died, I remember there was like a family around him at his bedside.
Mm-hmm.
And it was intense. So, and then that was the first one. The second life, I got murdered.
Oh.
And I think that's when I came out and cried. I had to take a break.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
So then we went back and did the third life.
Wait, tell me about the second life.
That was intense.
Tell me a little more about it.
That's when I took the break.
You feel comfortable?
No, I find, I feel comfortable now.
Okay.
But then, I don't know, it hit me really hard. It seemed like the second life was a little bit where it was like a darker energy, more of like a gang mafia type thing going on. Again, I couldn't tell the
legal
country
activity stuff.
Yeah, and it was like I was trying to get a vibe of the country, and I was thinking either Middle East, Mediterranean, Italian. I don't know, but it could have been Middle Eastern, around that area maybe.
You know a time period, or
it seemed like it could have been early 1900s. It was hard to pinpoint, and I was thinking like, where is this? Where am I? Am I experiencing this? And I was. At that point, I completely let go, and I said, let me experience, show me what happened. Let the spirit just kind of...
From another perspective.
Show me. So, yeah.
She does it a lot where you look from another perspective so you don't have to be involved in it. So it's not so
But I saw cars, so I'm thinking it was probably later in the early 1900s. So, but then the point is, I was in this gang, and then the fact is I was hanging out, doing these things. We met at the same place almost every day. I remember going there, but at a certain point, I wanted to get out of this gathering type gang. I wanted to get out, and that's where the conflict happened of like this power struggle. Yeah. Kind of find out that's when I got murdered, and I remember having gotten shot, and then I was like, wow, this is powerful. And then I snapped out of it, and then I went and I woke up kind of with tears. For some reason, I was like, this is real? Like, what's going on? It's so vivid. Like, and then I looked, and it made sense. I looked down, and I had at my the point of where I had got shot in this vivid experience is where I had this birthmark.
Oh my God.
On the top lower, like there was like this birthmark.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right here. I've had it since I was like young.
Oh my
an infant. And it was like right there when I remember vividly the shooting was. And I'm like what? That violent past like this? Is that possible? Sometimes you don't know what those regressions are gonna bring up. And
wow.
So at that point, I was sold. I said, look, I'm going to come back again. Take me under.
Do you know what you learned from that, or did you not even get to that?
Well, no, I had to.
Because you just kind of broke out of it.
No, I had to look back and look and see what I learned. And from the person who put me under, they were saying, basically, just trust yourself. Don't. Basically, I think it's a reflection of how I live my life now. Just don't follow any crowd. Try to use discernment and continue to try to be authentic and go your own way. Yeah. And not just try to have the acceptance of the crowd. Right. Because then it's like you try to pull back, they may not take that too kindly. It's like, and if it's a gang or group of friends and all that. So I learned to try to basically,
so kind of
keep
like
away from anything like mafia gang wise or whatever. Yeah.
So kind of like don't even get if something doesn't feel right to you in your heart, like don't even get involved with it, because the more you go along with it, the harder it's going to be to like get out it type of thing.
Oh yeah, and that was a vivid experience. So then after that, I said, look, I'm sold. Came back again, went under it. The third life was on another planet, and that may have to be for another podcast, because that life was an intense one right there.
I remember. You played your recording
because in the recording I kept saying,
we heard some of it.
I was trying to explain. I kept saying I couldn't even describe the body. I couldn't describe much of the concepts for things my physical mind couldn't even wrap around. For some reason, I couldn't get a grasp of how to explain this. The toes look like this, or the suit or whatever it's wearing looks like this and that. It was really strange. So That was the first time I ever had a regression, and that opened my mind completely because I didn't know what people were experiencing with regressions.
Yeah.
But I finally experienced one myself. And
I mean, a lot of times it takes many different regressions to get to that point too.
Yeah.
Where you're going even farther back. Where it's like you go back to the extraterrestrial lives and all that. A lot of times it takes a lot of different regressions. So I would be really interested to see what you can bring back once you go back.
That was one of the most vivid experiences where it's like it wasn't even things that I had seen before in real life or in any game I played. It wasn't like something I saw out of a book. These were all things shown to me, the faces and the makeup of these characters, I can call them. They just everything just was so new. It was just an odd experience.
Like, what did it look like?
Can you describe it at all?
Yeah.
So if you remember the courting, it was almost like she was literally trying to drag it out of me. She was just like, just say it. My whole physical mind even kind of was just like, where am I? I was seeing a being. I couldn't tell even the gender.
Yeah.
I was trying to describe what it had on. It was something that looked like scales. I was trying to describe the place. It was like desolate environment.
Like their skin was scales, or their
it looked
clothes?
like it was. I think I had to call it a suit because it looked like it was scales and like that type of texture.
But it could come
like
off
on a fish. It probably could have came off, yeah. And then I said, I don't know what gender it is, and I felt like the overall vibe, and it felt like all knowing, and the whole vibe of just being around. What I can remember as these beings, where it's like the fact of them being so aware and knowing that so much. My mind was even trying to just grasp around that. Like, how could these beings be so aware?
Yep.
And my mind was just like, felt like an infant around energies like that or beings that could be like that. Just that overall feeling would be a whole thing I wish I could be able to just share to like, to someone, you know, like,
oh, that's so
that's
cool.
how it felt right there. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're on another planet? Or ship,
I remember being on something. It looked like another planet. It could have been, I remember it was like a dry environment, very dry. It wasn't like a flat desert. It had different,
hills
different characteristics. Yeah, but I remember being on what looked like a small, could have been a ship, sitting in a circle. And then I remember there were like these dwellings that could have been like huts. But from what I remember, they were like, I was around type of, figures or beings. There was like their temporary stay, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And there was like a temporary stay where it's like they had an assignment and they had to be there, but then they might possibly go on to the next atmosphere or planet. And that was the message I got. And it was intense. So then again, I'm like, wow. So then after, you could imagine after I woke up, had to wipe my eye again. I'm like, the overall feelings that I got was just powerful. So
that was the only one that you got during that when you went back?
Those are three. Yeah, those are the 3 lives. So, I mean, my whole mind was just trying to remember, like, stay open-minded.
Yeah.
Ground yourself at the same time, but know this is what happens when people have regressions. Like, and you ask for this. So, this is what your spirit was meant to see.
Yeah.
Of course, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, because even in Dolores Canyon, when she was going with the guy, Phil, I mean, you got to keep in mind, this is the 1980s.
Yeah.
So he's hearing the stuff and he's feeling real weird.
It's probably hard to wrap around.
It got to a point where he started, they regressed, and it got to a point where he was in his current life now, and he was being shown experiences where he was interacting with ET beings, like now.
In his life.
I could imagine saying that
he
back
was around like 10 years old or something.
I could imagine
and his family was driving. And they just took him out the car right then and there and abducted. I don't like to use the term abducted because
what do you use?
They just took him.
That's an abduction.
But
kidnapped. Kidnapped.
That's kidnapp's even worse.
And the crazy thing is, this was her first regression with someone that lived an alien life as well.
Yeah, so
she had only done human life.
But it seems like you're being kidnapped, but in reality, you make these agreements before you come into the earth. So in your human life, you think like, oh, this is crazy. But anyways, he was like saying like, oh, they did something to me, and he didn't want to say what it was, but eventually, like he told her when he came out, like they took a little like a thing, like kind of like a syringe, but it wasn't that, and like kind of like stuck it in his testicle.
Whoa,
that's what they put.
They took some
sperm, and he might have got anal probe too.
My God.
I'm sorry,
but he said it didn't hurt at all. He was like, he was saying like it didn't hurt me, but he was just scared that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like going to the doctor's office.
Yeah.
And you're just like, he had already agreed to do it.
I can imagine.
And he was being probed. They put something in like the corner of his eye, and
I don't even like the dentist. I mean,
gosh.
I just came from the dentist. They put 2 shots in my mouth for anesthesia. I didn't even like that. Like, but he torture, whatever.
And he was disturbed because there was like this machine that reminded him of his dad's, and his dad was like a dentist.
Oh yeah.
And exactly. He was like, "Yo, it's alive! It's alive!"
Yeah.
And he was like disturbed because it was like alive, and it was kind of like AI.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there were like people on the ship. One of the ladies, he said, had a really wrinkled skin. It looked like kind of like elephant skin.
Oh my God!
But he could just.
Oh, was she the nurse?
He could just he could just look in her eyes the whole time.
I hear about.
And it was just like so calming when he looked in her eyes. And
yeah,
there was another guy. He looked human. He was a captain, but his eyes were like tilted, and they're like almond shaped eyes. Not like a Asian person. It was like almond, eyes that had like went up a little bit.
Like a hybrid grayish type of.
No, he was human.
Being.
He was human, but his eyes were just like tilted and really like little slightly bigger, like almond shape.
Like the one we saw.
That sounds kind of like the one that we saw.
Oh, the one that you saw at the park.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's like kind of like what it was like. But
I remember her head was kind of that shape as well. It was more like a football shape.
Like really beautiful, like being.
Now I see why people like write movies, because to explain these things in front of the audience to understand. It's just like I wish that they could actually literally see what we saw or had these experiences, because sometimes it's hard to explain it to where it makes sense, or to where we can know it and have it like, so where you can know it and have it be understandable, to where we don't feel like crazy. Because for a while I didn't know how I could share my experience.
Oh yeah,
to make it make sense to me, to get it to where you could get a concept. But now I feel more open.
Because
we all had an experience like this.
But like I'm saying, imagine that's happening to you in the 80s.
In the 80s, when
you're there, like how you were there.
You don't have references
and
for
he was like starting
a
to
lot
get
of
like
things.
A little depressed because he was like would feel this disturbing feeling, and then
Yeah.
During one of them, he went back to them. He was a little bit older.
Yeah.
And they showed him a black box. The captain brought him a black box that was of alien origin. And he said, "You made this in your other life." And so he was like,
really deep.
Whoa.
That's a lot, right?
So he was trying to open the box and he couldn't open it. And he could feel it was opened by mental capabilities. And I could tell you what happened, but I don't want to like spoil the whole thing.
But this stuff's so amazing. Like I'll just tell you in a real quick way of like when I was growing up, I was presented this when I was like maybe like 5 or less, because my dad told me he got a regression.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I
didn't know that.
No, listen,
crazy. Whoa.
That's why I grew up so open-minded, open to a lot of knowing that there's more than meets the eye. There's a spiritual world. Because
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
And he told me, and he told my sister, he's like, "Yeah, I got a regression." We're like, "What's that?" He's like, "You almost go into a hypnosis." He described
Picture he did it with Dolores Cannon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That would be crazy.
I don't know.
One of the people in the book.
I don't know. I mean, he
uses different names.
It's probably in the 90s when it happened. It was probably that man. But he ended up saying his past life, the prominent life was when he was a king. He had to rule people, but the people loved him because he wasn't really extremely evil, or he wasn't going slaughtering people. They respected him as a nice king, not a ruthless, murdering, or corrupt king. And the people liked him, and then he ended up being victorious and living a good life over the kingdom. And I just never forgot that story. And I was like, wow, really? Like, what was it like? And hypnosis, I'm like, that can't happen to me. Like, hypnotized. And then, growing up as kids, you see the pendulum, you see in cartoons, they have the whole stereotypical hypnosis. The eyes be turned,
the swirl,
turn into like candy cane, like swirls, right?
Black and white swirl and all that.
Yeah, but then I realized like there's an actual whole thing going on for this, for the regressions. Now, you were gonna get into the underground stuff, or
real quick though, I want to say, because with how she was saying with the imprintations on your soul, it makes sense that a lot of people might have had different lives as kings, or like a lot of people have a life with Napoleon or different people.
I've heard about that.
Yes.
You can live different human lives, but you can also get imprinted with the lives of people that are going to be relevant for you, famous people.
I heard about that.
So it's like really like people that are going to be leaders, have like a lot of kings and things like that in their life. And it's just really interesting to hear what everyone is. But yeah, we're also last podcast we were talking a little bit about the underground and what's going on underground. Shambhala. I shared a story about Shambhala, and we were talking about that, and it's just because there was a guy. His last name was Rourke, and he actually worked with the president of the United States at the time. Which one was it, Kelly?
Theodore Roosevelt.
And
are you talking about? Was it the Valiant Thor guy? Or
I'm not sure.
There's a book called The Stranger in the White House where the guy's name was Valiant Thor. You're talking about something else.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But this guy, his name was Rourke, and he worked with Roosevelt. And Roosevelt was the president that started the protecting the national forests and the national parks, and he created that. So he was
Which
really
Roosevelt?
Because
there were two. There was
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
FDR. Okay.
So he actually worked with him, and originally he was Russian. Rourke, he was a mystic, him and his wife. And he ended up Roosevelt funded him to go to Tibet to find Shambhala, underground Shambhala. So what happened was he went on this journey, he brought his sons and all that, and he wrote, and he had two journals. One was a scientific journal, one was a mystic journal. He wrote about Shambhala in the journal, and he was meeting with the Dalai Lamas at the time. He ended up getting a fragment of their Philosopher's Stone, which was said to be the Eastern Philosopher's Stone, which was said, and this is all real.
Is there any books on this? There's probably books on this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And he had a piece of it. There were one of three pieces, and it was said to be a fragment, and part of it was Moldavite. And it would unlock, it was the key to Shambhala.
So the Philosopher's Stone is like a physical stone now.
Yeah, so the Western one is like created. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one was already here, and the Dalai Lama has it to this day. Yeah. But he had it for a while, and he gave it back to the Dalai Lama. After he gave it back to the Dalai Lama, he was like, no one else can have this. And they locked him all up. But he went to Tibet, and he was, this is what happened. They were in the mountains. I mean, they were deep in the mountains in Tibet, looking for the entrance to Shambhala. And he even said that they found it in an ancient temple. But what happened was they were at their camp one day. They saw a very large bird fly over, a huge bird, a huge hawk. And after the bird flew over, they saw a UFO, a sphere, and it was very shiny, very metallic, exactly how they described. This is 24 years before Roswell.
So what
this
time?
is before UFOs.
What decade was this?
This is in the 1900s, early.
Okay.
So this is 24 years before Roswell even happened, before people even knew about UFOs. He described a UFO. After that, they disappeared for like 6 months.
They saying the people actually physically disappeared.
Yeah, they weren't writing anything.
They were
Next thing you know, they popped up in a Tibetan like prisoners camp because there was a war going on. And that was the story.
I'm new to this story.
And then Roosevelt actually came, and he was so impressed by whatever they found, he sponsored another trip for them to go back.
And we're talking up in the Himalayan mountains. Yeah. Like you couldn't even survive for 6 months without the right amount of food and all that.
It's like, what do we know? Because it's like these presidents could be linked to all types of stuff. Because you heard, but
so look, I'll show you a little bit of the video.
So this was basically President FDR, but you also heard how Kennedy they said had a contact with somebody they said Venus. And there was a whole book about it. The Stranger in the White House. Some strange man came by and briefed him on a lot of things. Valiant Thor.
I have heard that. Yeah, I have heard that.
What do we know? It's like, what do we know is going on, man? Like,
I have heard that.
The presidents could know all types of stuff.
Yeah.
When you get into like that circle of basically...
That was with Roosevelt as well?
Government. Yep. That was what was it?
He knew some stuff, I'm telling you, because he's the one who started the national parks.
So that was Roosevelt, but later Valiant Thor came with Kennedy.
Look, this was Nicholas Rourke right here. He was dressed as like the Dalai Lama in their gear. And this is a minute 37 into it. I'm just going to play a little bit.
That's like some CIA stuff, secret disguise, you know?
This is Mr. Mythos talking about it.
So he became more aware after that, basically.
Oh, yeah.
He started to.
And he was rambling, and it was getting crazy in his thing.
Okay, Inner Earth Agartha. I've heard of this. Okay.
Yeah. Go to 924 now.
Inner Earth.
Those look like Pleiadians.
Yeah.
A majority of indigenous societies believe in the inner earth, by the way. A majority of them still believe that there is inner earth. Yep. They have myths all around that concept.
See, they could channel and they could communicate with these realms.
Oh yeah. There we go. It's a good warm up.
Isn't this crazy?
I have some input for this.
Wow.
Look at the photos too.
Yeah.
Look at that, man. What do we know, man? Really? Like,
isn't that crazy? So he believed he was the 5th Dalai Lama,
and then Roosevelt accompanied him on this expedition.
No, he just paid for it.
Okay, he just paid for it.
Yep. I don't think the current Dalai Lama is channeling from Shambhala.
This is my warm up. All right, let's go.
See, look, this is the craft that they saw.
This sighting is notable because it occurred 24 years before UFOs became of public interest.
They didn't know what they were seeing there. They didn't know how to crazy? Feel like it's a flying dinner dish or something. Like,
look, this is what he said, his own words.
In the morning about 9:30, some of the caravanners noticed a remarkably big black eagle flying above us. 7 of us began to watch this unusual bird. At this same moment, another of our caravanners remarked, "There's something far above the bird," and he shouted in his astonishment. We all saw, in a direction from north to south, something big and shiny reflecting the sun, like a huge opal moving at great speed. Crossing our camp, this thing changed in direction from south to southwest, and we saw how it disappeared into the intense blue sky. We even had time to take our field glasses and saw quite distinctly an oval form with a shiny surface, one side of which was brilliant in the sun. It was after this event that the Borgs and their entire
what country is that again?
See, they disappeared right after the UFO.
But they're like in the snowy mountains.
Yeah, they're in the
Himalayas.
mountains.
What country is that?
In Tibet.
Oh, okay.
And the world considered the Borgs dead.
Ooh. So they were gone, man. They were gone for a minute, huh?
Yep.
And maybe could have been another round.
They were gone for a year, man.
Oh my god!
They were living with them at that point, living with whatever.
Yeah, they were in Shambhala probably.
See, that's why, man. Now that's why I love whenever you can kind of tie back to historical figures and names, because people like to know where it's like, oh, okay, it could happen. It could just happen to Joe Schmo, but no, this stuff happened to real people.
Yeah, this was real life, man.
Figures, like,
I mean, back then they were just more open about it. They're talking to mystics and all that. That's why.
And they're writing it down in their journals and stuff. Probably.
Like, I'm a new age mystic, bro. Like, I believe in all this stuff, and and I had past lives as mystics. Like, I truly know that.
They had it down in their journey. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say, Kelly?
Oh no, I was just gonna say real quick. They started to realize that they needed to start hiding all this information because it's so powerful.
Exactly. I've heard this is around the time when it had to be hidden, where it's like we can't let the people know. But it's like back then you had people writing in their journals. Like even Columbus had a sighting. He had saw a UFO at sea. Like there were people seeing beings. Napoleon saw some stuff around at one point. There were people documenting this, historical figures, and it's like, you know, that's why I always say, like, what are people experiencing? This stuff kind of needs to be taken into account. But it's like, I love how now, but now people are kind of going to say, now we understand there's UFOs, because now finally on the news they're like, well, this is what the military saw. There's top military officials and officers saying
that
they
are
saw
talking
it.
about it now.
Yeah, now top name officers are saying they saw it. So people are like, oh, okay, now we get it, because I guess people had to, their minds, I feel like I already knew, but other people's minds had to really see validation from another,
like an authority
from another
figure.
perspective,
historical figure, right? So, but this is good material. I mean, I love stuff like this. I love it.
So, what do you know about underground?
Oh yeah.
Do you believe there's beings living in the earth?
Oh, easily, absolutely.
Because I'll tell you what.
There has
so
to be,
I seen that in Shambhala.
I think there's humans down there.
Yep. And dude, what Dolores Cannon said was that there are beings living underground. She said that they are from Atlantis, and that's where they came from. They came from Atlantis, and during the destruction of Atlantis, they fled underground, and they still live there to this day. And they don't surface because we're not ready for them to surface, because they know that if they surface, there will be war between us and them, and they'll defend themselves.
Most likely,
these is Earthlings. These ain't they're high level, but they ready to fight. You know what I mean?
Funny thing is, man, like it goes. I love tying.
These are humans we're talking about.
I love tying it back to indigenous societies, because a lot of indigenous societies, especially like when you look at the Native Americans. And some of their teachings, they always said that the earth had beings that came out and then came out at specific times. But also what's interesting is that there's different tunnelways. A lot of Native Americans know these tunnelways underground. Yeah. And they can go travel most of the west part of the US without even kind of having to resurface and do trade amongst each other. And all that.
That's true.
I have something that's really going to trip you guys out, because with actual visuals to it. Because if you go, it's funny because people call me free spirit or whatever, but I went down to Florida. But what I learned about Florida now since I've been there is that there's whole underground caves where it's like you could hear scuba divers that are going underneath the water in these cave systems that are like miles and hundreds of feet deep. Whoa. And you can get between different areas or parts of Florida just by going underneath these underwater caves. Here's a better, you see that? Look, there's huge underwater cave systems. And there's
which one? I was
Devil's Den.
Look at that. Look. There's a few of them.
Whoa, that looks like
we're looking at, if you're just listening, the Florida cave diving. That's nightmare
some
material.
Of like but it's some of like the biggest underwater cave systems in the world. Some of the biggest systems. So
really,
I looked at a page. There was a guy who's called Dr. Narco Longo, and I guess Spirit led me there, and I saw that his page had he had his own podcast based just off of what's in Florida for underground cave systems. But Dr. Narco Longo,
I'm gonna look him up.
Look him up, because he has a whole
Dr. Narco Longo.
Yeah,
Narco.
This is a cool cat from South Florida, but this guy goes deep into like specifically the history of Florida's, but.
That's his channel, Old World Florida?
Yeah, it's called Old World Florida. It's his channel. And then you go back to one of the videos, he talks about like the true history of Florida, of how Florida actually is technically the fountain of youth because of the waters having the healing properties to literally like, basically if you have a skeleton in those waters, that skeleton wouldn't decompose for hundreds, almost close to 1,000 years. Like, it's
Are you serious?
Yes. So this guy is going deep into decoding like what Florida truly was in the past and what we forgot that it is. Basically, it's like So when they were looking for the found of youth, it was like,
how do you find this stuff, man? I don't know. Spirit, that's why I have 5 because he just finds the craziest
Spirit guys meet here.
Yeah, almost awesome, interesting stuff.
It's just like that sometimes. So the guy was just saying like basically the found of youth was basically like you go to specifically the west part of Florida where like the Tampa is, that has the most nutrient water in this whole country. Like literally you can go down there.
Freshwater,
springs.
Oh wow,
springs basically. Yeah. So you go there, you drink it. People have been known to stop addictions, and
that's why I always hear Florida water.
Florida water, exactly. Yeah. That's a.
I'm like, what is Florida water?
But that's where the whole idea came from. But now it's not real Florida water. Just like they call it like that. But there used to be a real Florida water that they would market and sell, bottle up, and all that.
Because that's all that stuff has, its roots and it's tied to real information, even if it's lost.
Now you can go down you keep scrolling down, you see the cave one.
And it's like the Gulf of Mexico. There's just something mad. Like even those beaches.
No.
The Gulf of Mexico beaches are like the softest sand you'll ever feel. The water's beautiful.
Yeah, that Gulf, that's what he said. That what was interesting is on his channel, he said that we are in the real Fertile Crescent. That like you said, the Gulf of Mexico, that's the real Fertile Crescent. The historic Fertile Crescent that they talked about, like biblically, because he said what they have is they have the same ecosystem basically of what they had over there in the Fertile Crescent around the Mediterranean, like the crocodiles, the birds, all that. Those are found from Florida all the way to Louisiana
right.
into Mexico. He said it's also shaped as a crescent.
Right.
And he had a whole analogy off that, but that's a whole nother topic. But
wow, this is really interesting.
He goes, so he goes into how you don't see it, do you?
No, I see the skull.
No.
Mummies.
It wasn't
blunts.
9 months ago. It was sooner.
Mummies, blunts, and coke.
No, because they found cocaine in the mummies. No,
that's crazy.
That's the title right
the funny thing is, you know, when they dug out the pharaohs, they found cocaine in their tombs. They found cocaine.
Are you serious?
What?
Come on, man.
No, which proves that they were trading with the Americans.
They found
cocaine in the
blunts.
tombs. Yes.
And blunts.
They found blunts and coke in the mummies?
It's been found
mummies
that
were getting down like
it's
that?
been found that the Egyptians had cocaine. So that means they were trading. There was only cocaine in the Americas. So that means they were trading. Somehow they were getting access to the Americas, which is why they have the Grand Canyon has some of their remnants in the Grand Canyon.
Oh, I did hear about
remember
that.
how Billy Carson even said
I see the Grand Canyon.
That's part of the Grand Canyon.
That's what I think about when I think about underground stuff and how they blocked off the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
You can't access the Grand Canyon anymore.
And keep in mind,
the craziest stuff ever.
The person who founded the national parks is Theodore Roosevelt.
Exactly. So he knew about all of that stuff.
So was it Teddy Theodore Roosevelt? Or
that's just his nickname. Yeah,
that's funny. As a kid, like that was one of my favorite presidents for some reason. I had a G.I. Joe edition of him.
Oh, really?
And for some reason, I was connected to that guy. I was like, he had the suspenders and glasses.
Yeah,
I was like,
he was a big explorer.
Because he used to be a part of the Rough Riders and go out on the horseback on tons of different terrains.
One of the national parks is named after him.
Yeah. He was a cool
Roosevelt Park.
He was a cool cat. So a lot of the Native Americans say that they had tunnel systems. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the Native Americans knew about some of these tunnel systems.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But he has a lot of these interesting videos. So I love seeing how the divers just going.
So how did you find this?
Swimming for miles. You know, what's funny is before I even went down and started staying in Florida, I found this channel.
Wow.
And like Spirit just brings stuff to me and I said, maybe it's for a reason. And I got into his channel. It came on my feed, I guess, one day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I just attracted to it somehow. I don't know.
Okay, so this is the thing though. Like when it comes to like America, people think America is this new country.
Exactly.
Right.
It's one of the oldest places in existence. Like there's things in America that people don't even realize were there. Like that's what we're saying. The stuff in the Grand Canyon. Like people think that's not supposed to be there. People really think like people weren't here. Like people think even the Native Americans weren't the first ones.
Well, you know, NASA owns part of the like access to the Grand Canyon for some reason, which is odd. But back to what Ham was saying, like that's why when they say that, you know, Columbus came and discovered America, we all now know it's not true. But like, you know, the Vikings got here. There were people coming over there. Like the Vikings got here before that. Some parts of people who had ship capabilities, who were able to build ships, came from West Africa. Even.
Yep. The conquistadors.
All parts of there were a few other people that came, and it's like,
but there are people here already.
We started in the late 1400s.
People were here.
People were already here. Exactly.
It's like it's not some island that wasn't populated. Like the whole
exactly.
You're gonna tell me the whole country was empty?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Because
it didn't make sense.
We had a lot of different. Like people with different phenotypes too. You had like Asiatic Native Americans.
Exactly.
There were like people who had they were described who had red hair.
Yep.
People who had darker copper colored skin.
Yep.
They were here too. Like a lot of people, they call them like the Moors.
Yep.
Or whatever. They had transferred over here. But there's that. That's what I'm saying. Like there were a lot of people beat Columbus to the whole. To this finish line, so I don't know how we could still teach that in school. We have.
I feel like they don't want people to search.
I mean, we have.
That's why I said you're looking like Indiana Jones right now. Like, people don't want. Exactly. That's embedded in American culture, but they don't want people to go searching in America because what are you gonna find, man?
That's why when
underground tunnels like Manitou, where we went in different places built into the walls, ancient places.
Really
that's why we all.
The Grand Canyon, man.
We all can't rise until we understand these concepts where it's like, even when I, understanding even like Viking history for a long time, I looked at and studied the Vikings where it's like, even History Channel show was just intriguing to me because I just like part of the history where it's like, there's missing pieces right there because the Vikings came here, and there was an episode on their series when they came and met the Native Americans.
Oh wow!
They befriended the Native Americans. That was all part of history, but they don't. Why isn't that taught in school? So it's like, but also people had to realize too, like we had also Black people coming here, like people who were like seafaring from West Africa. They migrated around the Caribbean. So because Columbus came in his journal, he said, I'm seeing people here with woolly hair. Like, why are the Ethiopians here? And he wrote this stuff in his journal. So we had a few people kind of beat this guy, Columbus, to the,
that's why even when people think that
to the Americans,
Black people came through slavery, when we really look at it, the amount of Black people there are and the amount of boats that they brought, it doesn't add
a lot
up.
of people are just.
Now, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a historical scholar, but when I heard people argue that, I was like, that actually does make sense.
There's a book called They Came Before Columbus. There's like a mountains of evidence about all of that, where it's like, the indigenous were able to trade with, like Asiatic indigenous were able to trade with copper colored people, what you would call Black people at that time. And they lived in harmony. They had people who were still of that tribe, of parts of Geechee. They call it the Geechee tribe, the Seminoles, Black Seminoles in Florida. And they carry the history where they're like, hey, like my grandma wasn't a slave. There are people who are saying that. We know a guy, Humble G. That's another great guy. He knows back when, when you know the history, you really can't be fooled. Like a lot of us lost our histories, like Black, white, whatever. We lost our history because, I mean, Kelly could have had relatives who were maybe part Viking who made it here. And it's like they were already here. But it's like once you lose the whole, like somewhere down the line, you lose like the verbal history or written history. You just can't like recall.
Exactly. And that's why whenever you go to like Ancestry and all that, like it says like in our Ancestry, it's, Native American. It says it on there, but it can't tell how much. Because they don't know, but it knows like you're native to America.
That's when it gets very
interesting. You can't really tell how much, but that's
you
funny
end up seeing ancestors
about,
of like Ireland. You see ancestors from Ireland.
Scandinavia, like 10% Scandinavian.
It gets
interesting. It's really interesting that you said that though about Kelly, because she actually saw like one of her dad's past lives. So like this stuff just comes here, like
sometimes stuff just comes in.
Oh wow,
it's pretty crazy, but
from
I saw his life as a Viking.
Oh
really
wow,
cool.
But it's like it's a really, it's like now the Vikings did some crazy stuff, but now we could romanticize it. But I think back then, like that whole something attached me to it. I feel like the Vikings achieved so much as far as spiritually. They were forced into Christianity. People don't realize they were like the pagans before, which you call the pagans. They were they knew about the plant medicines. They knew all about the stuff that the natural medicines that basically were say it's like, oh, okay, maybe pseudo. The Vikings were on that basically. They had different, of course they had different gods, but then they were forcing Christianity, and then they had to.
The Vikings were incredibly violent people.
They were kind of crazy. They kind of.
That's why it's like maybe it helped in some ways, in some ways it didn't.
True.
And it was
like
really
both. I mean, Christians were violent too at that time.
But
Vikings were notorious warriors.
Well,
they were warrior.
The Vikings,
people.
Everything that they got was like basically just looted the treasure and then stole, and then they were taking stuff from France and all types of stuff. So
if you've seen Vinland Saga, the anime, or if you've seen the show Vikings,
but
it's like
for some reason I was
how they're portrayed. At least
I was attracted to it. I was like, maybe I'm supposed to learn from it. I learned so much about like they don't teach how what they officially achieved. Like, why does everything have to start in the 1400s with Spain when the Spaniards came? Because we had the Native Americans even said they saw red-haired people right? So that red-haired people, that phenotype is northern of what they would say, what they would call Europe, right? So. And also, if you think about it, we're talking about underground, the whole underground like life and all that. But it's like, what do we know? Because have you heard of Admiral Byrd?
No.
The guy who,
Admiral Byrd?
Admiral Byrd.
I have heard that name. Was an 100%.
Official military personnel. He flew over what you would call modern day Antarctica. He said
he saw the pyramid.
What he reported back, he saw a lot. He said, I see that there's not all snow on this like landscape. There's greenery. And at one point he's saying, I see animals, I can't even describe what type of animals they are. Stuff that was supposed to be extinct. At one point he actually mentioned stuff that looked like dinosaurs. And this is the military, like this guy is basically enlisted in the military. Like, why would he lie about this? Mm-hmm. And Admiral Byrd flew his plane over there. That was his objective, to go in there, I guess, and gather material from Antarctica. But he said, why is this like, seems like just a far away, desolate ice cap? It's like, there's life here. But now you can't travel in Antarctica.
There's something in Antarctica for sure.
They don't let you go.
They don't let you go. Even in, I think, what was it, the movie Aliens?
Yeah.
One of those movies.
Transformers had something about that.
Yeah, it's like always happening in Antarctica because that's where, there are pyramids there. Oh, yeah. There are people living there. Dolores Cannon even said there's alien bases there.
The ice caps are melting.
And no one can go there.
They're showing.
You can't just go there.
And now the ice caps are melting, and they're revealing the pyramids. So now they got to somehow fix the Google satellite so people can't search around, I guess. But it's like, the thing is, they also had stuff underground around there too, from what I know. There's bases. They're saying that people have already been. Of course, there's military bases underground, and that's why the average person can't go. You will get arrested if you try to go ahead and search Antarctica on your own. Some parts you just really can't go.
That's why I can't wait till technology gets to the point. Once technology gets to a certain point, they're not going to be able to hide it anymore.
Exactly.
Once you can just have infinite technology, or the solar technology gets good to the point where the power is good. I mean, imagine if you had like a solar battery that could charge during the day and could last basically forever through the night. Then you could just take your own drone and fly wherever you want.
Exactly.
You can take it from, here to Antarctica and just see everything that's going on while it's flying the whole time.
The fact that we're just talking about this is almost now becoming common knowledge, because you not just have us on the podcast talking about it. Now we have people like Dr. Longo. Yep. You got people like Billy Carson's and all these different researchers who are disclosing it, basically. Like, disclosure happens with the people, they're saying now. This is disclosure where it's happening with us.
Yeah, you're not going to get the information from the government, guys. You have to take it in your own hands.
Like, more than 50% of like the world's population had like UFO contact by now. Now most people are seeing stuff now. It's being documented. Yeah. So disclosure is technically already happening with us. Like, how can they keep lying? We're half that's more than half the world's population is seeing UFOs.
I mean, you got people calling it's 911 saying they're not human.
Yeah.
100% not human. I mean, that's like, how crazy it's
like, you just got to think about this stuff. And what was I saying? You were saying, I was going to make a point of what you were saying before.
We were talking about Antarctica.
Something after that.
We're talking about Antarctica. We're talking about underground. We're talking about the drones, the technology.
I was just going to, that's my thing. My friend, I have a friend. I remember I told you about Azira. She has a whole bus on a powerful solar system. I'm talking about, she doesn't even have to use a gas generator at all, or gas at all.
That's
where it's
so
like,
cool.
She's like, she's showing me this, and I had to just like, look, like, you figured it out. Like, you have lights that never have to turn off.
Yep.
You have like cookers and ovens and microwaves where you never have to plug into the grid. I'm like,
really?
You figured? Yeah, her bus crazy. She's like this $10,000 solar generator. Like, she spent a lot of money on it, and it's just like, and now that she's basically in the south, she's getting tons of sunlight. And she's plugging up fans. I went on there,
so cool.
And she doesn't even have to turn them off. She's like, don't worry, just keep it on. And I visited her, and she just like has an infinite, like, this is a real like free energy technically. So
we should get her on at some point.
I know. I told her. I had her. I think I featured her on one of my videos on my Instagram.
Kind of Zoom thing.
Yeah.
Just get her on and talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ask her some questions with you on.
Hey, man, I'm already ahead of you. Like, let's make it work. But did you play the video? Like, you'll see some of it.
I'll play some more. 32 seconds.
But the thing is
there a specific part?
Yeah, go forward a little bit. I like seeing I like seeing the videos. They give you the perspective on how big these underwater cave systems are. There's like videos and show you. But it's like when
it said Haiti equals Hades.
Yeah, and when the indigenous were killed in this country, like, a lot of the knowledge was lost. A lot of this knowledge was lost. That's why it's like we had to start over.
But that's why I say
this isn't
that we're having an amnesis. So
amnesis. Wait, explain that.
So amnesis is a remembering of the past.
Yeah.
So right now we're kind of having an amnesis of the past.
Technically, yeah. 100%, man.
But there's amnesia, where you forget what's going on now, and anamnesis, where you remember the past.
This isn't it, actually.
Oh, that's not it.
But you know what's funny is did you ever see how the news article posted how they found a prehistoric vegetation deep in inner Earth?
Yeah,
that
I remember
right
that.
there. You
in
could
China
pull up,
or something?
yeah, you could pull up a photo of that maybe after, because that was in China, and then so it's like, you know, and that's what they're telling us mainstream. So what if they could be finding dinosaurs for all I know?
Bro,
like,
they
could
have
find the whole Jurassic Park ecosystem. I don't know. You know,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's like they don't want to tell us anything.
They're finding prehistoric plant life,
but
so
a lot of it is like I understand why they don't want to tell us, because the majority of people aren't ready.
True.
So that's why even the ETs say like, hey, they're not ready. So we can't just announce ourselves, because there's going to be chaos.
Well, you got to think about that. I mean,
we have to raise our consciousness collectively.
The whole joke is that it's like, all right, so why would we want to land on the White House? You guys are going to shoot us and laser beam us and shoot EMF waves at us. You're going to shoot active denial systems to get us to basically for our ships to just stop functioning. Like all types of stuff could happen if they landed on the White House. So they're like, why would we want to come here? And
it was like Dolores Cannon. She was talking about how the planet was seeded by extraterrestrials, essentially. So they came here, they created humanity. And she's like, they literally said like nothing is by chance. Like we've never even waited long enough to see if, you know, normal life forms like plants and trees can even turn into advanced life forms like humans. Like we've never waited long enough to see. They always come to the planet and they choose what kind of being, they choose the body the being's going to have and what it's going to look like. And then they choose how it's going to be. So they're saying that like, they're like, you would actually be amused if you could see what you could have possibly looked like.
That's wild, man.
But the human body is really fit for this kind of dense environment. So that's why they use the human body.
Oh, that goes back to how we were talking about Sasquatch and just like what the ideal like 5-pointed body system where the head and the arms and the feet are, like what it's doing, like as far as like galactically, it's like it's repeating itself because it works. Yeah. But that's interesting. Just watch this and how deep this is like a video of
I
like
can't lie, y'all. I gotta take a bathroom break.
Oh, I hate that happens. You gotta go, you know. Maybe I should wait till she gets back to mention this.
No, let's go ahead.
But so I basically picked up. Okay.
Don't knock his picture down. We have one of 5D's artworks up here.
I had picked up a relative from the airport, right?
Yeah.
Basically,
leave the door open till you come back.
So,
yeah, leave it cracked.
We picked up our relative, and then she had just got back from Denver airport. And I was just in Denver, 2 weeks ago, whatever. Point is, Denver Airport is known to have an underground system of whatever.
There's some weird stuff in Denver
weird
Airport,
stuff going on, right?
Don't they have some occultist stuff?
They're known to have some of the most like, there's like the Masonic symbolism and artwork in their airport. Weird. And they're known to have like underground facilities or a base or a shelter, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's no secret now. It's like common knowledge, like Denver's got a lot going on underground, you know. There's a lot of whistleblowers saying that you can go underground in the United States and you get from like, literally like from Nevada to California without having to resurface.
That's crazy.
But a lot of these are like ancient routes too that some of the indigenous had known for
we don't know anything about this planet. Like, why are we pretending we know?
Yeah, we don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know anything. We don't know what's in the ocean. You just had the people in the submarine explode.
That's
like, we can't even go to those depths. You know, look what happened.
Human arrogance.
We can't even do it safely.
It's sad to say, but that's the example of human arrogance. And it's like we don't even have the oceans conquer, and that's technically another terrain in itself. Like we got. How are we going to go ahead and go out in space and be arrogant with the same mindset that we're trying to do with conquering the ocean? We can't even conquer that. Like James Cameron always said, you have to understand the oceans. You can't conquer it. You have to understand it. It's just there's a vast, a whole nother realm that we don't understand. We're still discovering whole other species daily from, you know, like in the deep darkness of the ocean. So it's like,
yeah, it's just so strange watching this. I mean, I would be so scared doing that.
You see that?
Would you do that?
This is the video I wanted to see. The concept of how deep these underwater caves are. In Florida alone, it's just like hundreds of just like deep cave tunnel systems. I would be freaked out. I mean, I'm pretty sure like a lot of the world has a phobia of being just trapped, not just underwater, but you're in a cave, man. Like, and if you run out of air, if you don't calculate right, you'll just die. You won't be able to resurface in time. So look how deep this is. Depths range from 180 FFW. What's FFW stand for?
I don't know.
Maybe somebody can help in the comments, but they're trying to give the dimensions of the cave. I'm trying to go ahead and give perspective.
Okay. You need like some kind of scanning device for that.
Okay. But look at that. That's a whole tunnel system.
Yeah.
Underwater, and you can resurface and be.
And now we're at 4 minutes in.
Say that you're in Tampa, you can end up in Miami. I mean,
it's so strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the laws and regulations for that? There are none.
You maybe just had to be scuba certified and have the bravery in your heart to go, because I mean, a lot of people don't want to do it. I would do it for the name of exploration and maybe a little bit of clout.
Yeah,
get it on video. And I'm playing, but kind of true. Yeah. I would want to have it documented, right? But yeah, it's just interesting.
Is that a person doing that?
That's a person scuba diving.
Okay,
with this light.
You can barely see him.
But like. The thing is, like, you ever heard how some of the indigenous call these caves the underworld? Like, they said that's the underworld, yeah.
Really?
In Mexico, remember there.
So this is just a cave.
This is just an underwater cave in Florida. He's not leaving Florida. This is all in. It's all just.
That's so crazy, man.
I know.
Because there's stuff like that in Ohio too, where there's like the Crystal Cave.
These lands.
Maybe we should try and go there this weekend while you're here.
Yeah, Crystal Caves. They have serpent mounts. I heard Ohio has some of the most sacred sites that we don't even
maybe
know.
we should try and get to the Crystal Cave.
Yeah. I want to try to see that in Ohio too. Like, I didn't know they had
that's on the
deep
island
caves in Ohio.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the thing is, man, like, what I heard is I had a friend who said we had no idea, but Ohio has some of the most Native American, like, has as far as the mounds go. Has the most mounds like that in this country, like the mounds.
Yeah, the mounds in Ohio are absolutely insane.
That are still around.
Video talking about it, and sometimes we'll be driving and we'll just see mounds, and I don't know if this is man-made or
man. Like
Columbus, Ohio, actually had a lot of mounds, and they destroyed them.
There's different states too have like even Florida has different things where they had things that look like pyramids. The scientists, they can't call them pyramids, but they're discovering these mounds. But they're discovering they're literally like just the grass is grown over a pyramid. Yeah. But they're literally like Florida.
That's what happens a lot of times. It's like grass over the pyramid, and they don't want to. In Ohio, a lot of people, they believe like they don't talk about it, but they believe like giants are buried in some of these very big burial mounds because they're so large. And you're not allowed to disturb them.
You know what's funny, man?
Sometimes people try and go and
they say the truth is stranger than fiction, man.
Yep.
Dude, like they're teaching, okay, and when I'm an anthropologist, right? Hey, but like in undergrad at the university, they taught in the school, like professor she made us read the story from the Native Americans that they were encountering giants. And there was like these redhead giants. Like the Native Americans knew about this stuff. You can read about it. There's redheaded beings. They were tall. Then they had to chase them back into the caves, right?
Oh, wow.
But they would go out and they would try to be violent with them. Yeah, they would have to.
Dolores Cannon talks about that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, she said that those were some of the first kind of prototypes of humans.
Yeah.
Where they were a lot bigger. And she said they were at like an average of 8 feet tall. Mm-hmm. So it's like, she said that, so there were probably people 9-10 feet tall.
It's like
the average in America is like 5'7" or something. So there's people that are 6'7",
and then there were
that are 7'7".
So she was recalling giants in Earth's ancient past, right?
Yeah, and they said that when they're talking about the seeding of the planet, and they said that is why sometimes you see these people that are like 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall.
Oh, it comes out like in the DNA
like
sometimes.
Big NBA players because they're like
that's where you get Yao Ming from, and all these different Andre the Giant guys.
Yep, there's a guy playing right now that just got drafted. He's huge. He's above 7 feet tall. He's huge.
You know, genetics are something crazy. I mean, there's certain genetic abnormalities, right? Where it's like, you know, people's skin could look like a tree, like it could look like tree bark, where you have weird stuff like that. I mean, you don't know. The genetics come out with all types of weird things, but some people can become giants because of it, right? But it's like, where does like David and Goliath come from? That story. But the point is that the natives saw this, and they presented this information in the university, but as like mythology, of course. But you know, the funny thing, like you were saying, what's the story you mentioned with the president, and he went out on an expedition in Nepal? Like, that's interesting. Yeah. So Rourke, right. So they had their experience, but at that point there was also people were finding these huge skulls and giants. And at one point, this was presented in the news. Like, you can see these news articles, like giant 10-foot skull discovered, UFO farmer sees different types of skylights. But that's before they tried to keep suppressing, hiding it. There was like at one point, before they suppressed it, this was like everybody was seeing it. Farmer Joe was seeing it. Yep. Nancy was seeing it. Everybody. These are random names, but it's like people were seeing these, having these experiences. Thank you. To where finally they made it like cool. Talk where you talk about it, and it's really not like this is just a UFO. This is all just fantasy. They created cartoons and the comic books about it,
and they made you afraid of them.
And they made you afraid of them.
She even said that in the book, where she was like, "Why do they portray us like that?"
So look at this.
Like, we're not anything like that. They portray us in the movies.
So this isn't
like they make. Book? Yeah, it's like you make aliens seem so. It's like they can only be evil.
Exactly.
Like, they're never good. Like,
Hollywood aliens.
Like, they can only be evil. It's like, what the hell?
And it's like, even when people always talk about mentioning gray aliens or just aliens, they think about just aliens with green skin and big eyes. But it's like, think about it, like in a vast universe, you have tons of different beings where it's like there's some beings that look just like us. Yeah. And I always love kind of like that concept where we can't even grasp our mind about it. But it's like, where it's like you have a humanoid alien who looks like just another human, but maybe their eyes are a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
but he looks like us, and
because humans or whatever, and it makes sense if they created humanity.
Yeah.
All right.
If they created humanity, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be other humans?
Yeah. I mean,
like they said, we literally have the blood of extraterrestrials running through our veins. Mm-hmm. Every human alive.
And then we have this junk DNA, we can become giants. We can become psychic. That's why human beings have so many different vast ranges of ourselves. We have people who are like autistic, who are mathematicians. We have all types of different, miracles that happens with humans because of like how unique and how much variety our DNA could basically rearrange itself. And the junk DNA isn't junk DNA, like I always say, like where that happens and you can become,
it's like a variety of DNA where it's like you can be almost anything.
Yeah.
In the human spectrum. It's so large. And a lot of that DNA is starting to come back.
Yeah, it's like if the universe goes on for infinity, it only makes sense that infinite versions of humans or whatever exist. I mean, even look at species of animals and plants just on this planet alone. Like you can have a tree there's probably millions of different species of trees, birds. Mm-hmm. They come in all different shapes and varieties and sizes. So why wouldn't it be the same for the human species as well?
It's funny. I mean, you ever seen the series Stanley's Superhuman?
I've heard of that.
I mean, oh my gosh, he had one man where it's like he had super abilities to just be crushed, and he had
I did actually see that. Yeah,
human beings were capable of so many amazing things, just our bodies alone. And then there's a guy who could just run for like over 50 miles and just keep running.
Goggins.
Right. Goggins is neck and neck almost, but like this guy would just, his muscles, it wouldn't allow him to get tired. Physically, there's something in his muscles
that's crazy.
that would never allow him to get tired. And I'm like, what? And there's a guy who could get in ice. He wouldn't be able to feel ice water. He could just get submerged in ice, like on some David Blaine type style
that's
stuff.
That's so crazy.
But so like this whole video has been going on for like 30 minutes of just diving in the underwater cave in Florida. And that's just like, and then Kelly went to the bathroom. She came back and it's still going. And they're still swimming
scary,
They're still swimming in this.
I'd be worried about my oxygen running out and all that. That's so
oh my
crazy.
God. So like,
that's really amazing.
And now anything else you want to say about this underwater cases? Because like,
nah, it's cool,
you
man.
know, it's like
we're honestly glad to have you back on the pod, man. It's so fun and exciting when you're here. Like, what? Yeah, you have anything else to say or anything you want to cover?
I think we'll
probably have you on a couple times.
I mean, back to what you were saying about the president, President Roosevelt. That's new to me. Yep. Investigate. I think we should investigate that. I should investigate that, even the audience. But also, I do know about the book. There's a book called Stranger in the White House about a strange being.
I'm gonna look that up.
Came up
look into that.
He claimed he was from Venus, and it was like these are all military officials who encountered him, and there was a whole book written about it where he talked about the planet, that we need to take care of it more, be cautious. And also, this is interesting, when we had the nuke, the atomic bomb, when that was dropped, all types of beings got affected, meaning underground, interdimensional, also maybe in other parts of the planet, of the solar system, and other beings inside of the galaxy, I think. I mean, they got affected by the atomic bomb. So we were really warned to just like cut it out. To where now, if you try to launch an atomic bomb, these people are saying that they're seeing UFOs deactivate the bomb. Something mysterious is coming to deactivate this nuke.
Yeah, because they're even saying that
what's going on? Like, what's really going on?
Yeah, she was saying that these beings, like, they view us as like their children. Like, when people talk about they're gonna come take over the planet, they're like, the planet's already ours.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it could be underground. It could
be
it's
already our planet. Like, we're not
another moon.
Like, they're like our parents. Where it's like, you're not gonna want to discipline your parents your children in a harmful way, because it's just gonna make them do even crazier, worse things.
Exactly.
So it's just it's such a crazy and cool concept whenever you really start thinking and wondering what's going on. And they were talking about even that there's a secondary planet that they're building that's going to be like the Garden of Eden that Earth should have been, essentially. And it's still in its early phases of growth, but it's one of the earliest planets. And if there is a total nuclear war, people that are on a high vibratory conscious level would have the choice to go to that planet and ship.
I'm just like, this is so interesting. What gives me
pick us up, like, yo, you want to go? Or you want to stay here and try and rebuild?
Hey, the future, dude,
I'm gone, bro.
The future is
Let's
coming.
Go, man. Let's go.
There's this, what is the game? The game Starfield came out. It's coming out now. Where
I'm so excited.
They're basically showing you where they probably already been, maybe on secret missions or whatever, or like how it's going to be in the future, where we're going to travel planets and terraform the planets.
I mean, Dolores Cannon said that some of these people have gone to these different planets.
Exactly.
And that's where the fiction comes.
Exactly.
Some of these people actually went.
Like, where are these games? These games are coming from somewhere. It's like,
dude, I've been playing Mass Effect recently, and it's like the beings are so detailed.
That's what I'm saying.
And the stuff is so. I'm like, come on.
Mass Effect is my game. But the things I know, people said, a lot of people were dissatisfied by it, but that is my game.
No, I love it.
You gotta have respect for it.
I've been playing the first one.
No.
Andromeda, I do want to play it.
The last one, Andromeda, is the best.
You know what I mean?
And it's,
Mass Effect 3 is the best.
It has mixed feelings,
but Andromeda is not bad.
It has mixed feelings, but the point is, it's like these are simulations of like you're going out there, you could discover like the planet, like what kind of climate does it have? Find a Goldilocks planet and then terraform it. It's basically, for me, if you treat it like a simulation and not like an action game, it's fun. It's not going to have a ton of action. It's just meant to show you, like, boom, like this is like how it could potentially be in the future, or this could be something that's already being done. And what I think is that it's already being done, where it's like they say they went to the moon and then they stopped, but it's like, come on, who's to say that they stopped? Like, they could still be going, and while it could be a secret like thing, it could be like
for sure,
mission.
Right?
Like,
yeah, this stuff is exciting. We love getting into this kind of knowledge.
This is
just like
we can go on and on
man,
about this.
We really
stuff,
can
really.
go on and on.
But it's meant to kind of spark.
I love
you guys.
this. I love this, and I love having people on that really know their information, like 5D here. And
and I come back with sources. And if you like to read, which you should try to read, people in the audience, you got to read the books.
Yeah, get those sources again.
Source
go ahead and I'll send you the file early so you can kind of get the sources ready, and then I'll do the timestamps again, and we'll do it that way. So recently we've been closing this out with just a quick guided meditation that I've been channeling. I've been really focusing on my channeling skills, and so let's just do a quick little meditation.
we want to start it now because if we could ask, like, I remember last time we closed up the podcast where it's like, what do you feel about underground life? And we asked Kelly, what do you think? Do you believe it or you want further?
Yeah.
And then we'll go ahead.
Yeah. So what do you think, Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, I already
think we all believe it.
Like there's stuff in the deep ocean. I mean, it's just so much volume of space to be unexplored that it's just the mass of it makes more sense that it would exist than not because there's just so much depth. I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
No, what do you think?
I 100% believe. I believe there's whole civilizations underground.
Yeah.
That have just been waiting there.
Yeah.
Ready for a fight. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We wouldn't stand a chance. Apparently.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like really wild. Of course, there's something that exists down there based off of like, there's people who have accounts of this in our modern times, people who had accounts of this in our ancient times. And it's like, based off of just me having overall, being well read of just different anomalies, I feel like there's something there. And it just adds up to where it's like, if you have underground cave systems and people finding prehistoric life under there, like point is there's life under there, period. Like how they said there's life in space, but it's microscopic.
Exactly.
No, period. There's life in space, period. Just say that.
They even said that
period.
They put the Earth here for a reason because there's nothing going on in this corner of the galaxy. That's why the Earth is here.
I heard that. It's supposed to be.
That's why humans are here. There's nothing going on, like even remotely going on.
In the middle of nowhere, I guess.
We still think we're in the center of the universe, right?
Exactly, but there's nothing. And other planets, it's like they're interplanetary. It's like there's stuff going on. It's like trade going on between planets. They're talking.
We're so lonely over here. That's why we feel so abandoned.
I know. That's why
we feel abandoned as
like,
humans.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh my
man.
God. So yeah. So food for thought, everybody. Food for thought.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So yeah, guys. Hope you enjoy this podcast.
Absolutely.
We're gonna keep doing it, man. Every Friday, guys. Like the video, subscribe, and comment your questions. If you have any questions for us, we want to know. We want to answer your questions.
Absolutely.
And we want to get into that.
Anything you feel like we maybe missed or want to maybe add, we're open to suggestions.
Exactly.
See what just tell us what's on your mind.
Exactly. So we'll do a quick guided meditation. I've just been channeling them recently. Just letting whatever come out. I'll make this one quick, and we'll just.
And I send distance Reiki as always.
Exactly. Thank you for taking part in this meditation. To start this meditation, please be seated comfortably, preferably in upright position, and close your eyes, starting now. As you feel the power of the planetary alignment, and as you feel the vibrations of the new, the vibrations of knowledge all around you, swirling in your mind, swirling in your head, know that these vibrations, know that this knowledge is opening up new layers of your consciousness. It's expanding your awareness, expanding your consciousness all around you, allowing you to see more, allowing you to know more, allowing you to be more of who you truly are. Because as we know, we are all infinite beings. We are all on the spectrum of infinity. We are all a particle, all a part of God. All that is could not be all that is without us. So let this knowledge permeate. Let these vibrations rise and expand. Let them challenge you. Let you challenge them. Go over in your mind what you have heard today. Allow it to linger in your brain. Allow it to linger in your mind. Allow it to expand, stretching your mind, stretching your consciousness, and stretching your awareness to the unseen, the unknown, the different realities around us. Let this spark your imagination. Let this spark your lust for knowledge, your creativity, your different vibrations and frequencies. Knowing that all realms of reality are open to you now. Knowing that the star people, the extraterrestrials, the people that live amongst the stars, are looking down upon you and smiling, knowing that you are here on a mission of expansion and awareness, to elevate the consciousness of the planet, to elevate the consciousness of everyone around you. And once you complete this elevation, you will continue to be renewed, you'll continue to be thanked, you'll continue to be rewarded for your efforts, for your time, for your being, for your knowledge. Because you are brave, you are brilliant, and you are greater than you know. Much, much greater. And your greatness has just begun. Shivai. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. As always, we love you. We're sending you guys this positive information, this positive vibrations. And in that meditation, I simply just got that, of course, this knowledge, sometimes it is going to be different. It is going to be strange. It is going to stretch your awareness, allowing you to see more, be more, and know more. And as your consciousness expands, as your awareness expands, you expand and you change and you elevate the consciousness of everyone around you.
Yeah, definitely.
And that perfect timing, this video is ending.
I know.
Much love to you all.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for tuning in.